Hello, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to another episode of Caught on the Mic. I am Michael Clark. Despite what the news media might tell you and what the socio-political climate is currently, I believe that we live in the most open-minded society that has ever existed in the age of mankind. That means people are more willing to accept things that maybe even just a few years ago they cited as being abnormal. That would be things like the spiritual world, the paranormal, and the great beyond. Things outside the realm of life and death. My next guest is a renowned medium and psychic. She's known as the Good Witch. You have seen her on such reality shows as Hell's Kitchen, Wipeout, America's Got Talent, but she is most well known for her frequent contributions to Discovery Plus's Ghost Adventures. Patti Negri joins me on the podcast today. We talk about things spiritual and beyond. We talk about her trajectory in discovering her gifts. It's a fantastic conversation. I can't wait for you to experience it. As always, listener and viewer discretion is advised. Patti Negri joins me on Caught on the Mic today. Ladies and gentlemen, my next guest is a renowned psychic and medium. She's a good witch, known for her recurring appearances on the travel channels and Discovery Plus's Ghost Adventures. She's worked with the likes of Emma Stone, Josh Duhamel, Chevy Chase, and Gregory Hines. Patti Negri joins me on the podcast today. How the heck are you?
I am good. Thank you so much for having me on. This is a blast. Thank you.
Oh, it is a pleasure and an honor to have you. What a year we're already starting to have, right?
Yeah. Yeah. Chaos. I'm glad I do dragon magic. It's chaos. I mean, I live in Los Angeles. 15,000 people just lost their homes. It's 300 daycare centers. I mean, the little things you don't think of. It's like, yeah, chaos. We're living in chaos.
You know, it's ironic that you bring that up because my last four guests, including yourself, are all residents of Los Angeles. And that's kind of been a reoccurring theme on the
Yeah.
show is kind of getting through that. And from a spiritual aspect, that's not something we've talked about. So maybe this is a good opportunity to kind of talk about maybe is the world going through a spiritual awakening and reset right now? I mean, it's a fair question to ask, right?
It is a fair question. Yeah, I do believe it is. I mean, on some aspects, we're literally moving into that age of Aquarius they sang about in the 1960s, and the veil between the worlds is getting thinner. That's why the paranormal world, like I live in, is not going anywhere because more and more what used to be unexplainable or paranormal stuff is happening because the divide between our this mundane, corporeal, gravity ridden, and that world is just going away. So how'd that happen? Appearances and things. Um, and we're going into so many shifts. But along with that, there's also a bigger divide. I literally we see it's whether it's sport teams or politics, it's divide, divide, divide. There's not finding middle ground and stuff. And it's not gonna be easy. It's tough. I am the internal optimist, and I believe we're gonna come through it okay, unless we get blown up by aliens or or Russia or China or wherever. No, I do think we're gonna but I think the divide is getting bigger. People are gonna get more and more numb and asleep at the wheel and not or like, "Oh my gosh, we have to do something about this. We have to bring integrity back. We have to take care of our planet. We have" I remember literally 20 years ago with, again, our wildfires and tornadoes where there'd never been and hurricanes where there'd never been, literally the global climate change. Al Gore gave us word for word that this was gonna happen over 20 years ago, and
Yeah.
it is, and so to gate just say it doesn't happen, doesn't make it not happen. It's happening.
You know, I share that mantra of being an eternal optimist, much like yourself. And do you think because of people like yourself and myself that people are finally letting their guard down in society and letting their belief in the spiritual world and the supernatural world reside a little bit more than what they may have 20 or 30 years ago.
Yeah, I do think that. Again, you even look, I mean, we look at the goofiness of social media, TikTok, Instagram, and you see all this about empowerment, about manifestation, different belief systems, because that's the template you put on top. You want the surge in witchcraft being the biggest n- growing religion in America, or the New Agers, or going back to your traditional belief system. When times get scary, people go back. They want to know there's something more than they see on TV. A lot of people are going back to go back to church, go back to temple, whatever. That's not holding up for everybody. So therefore, the new raise and more alternative, more new age, again, the paganism, the witchcraft. And some people still don't want that. I don't want this woo woo. I don't even want spirituality or religion. I'm just scared and I want to know if we all get blown up by aliens tomorrow, I'm going to be okay. They want to go on a ghost hunt. They want to go on a paranormal. They want to get a haunted doll. They want to go, and so then they do that. They watch Ghost Adventures or watch some other, there's millions. I have a whole channel of it, Paraflix. It's all paranormal. Um, they go on it and then they discover it's real firsthand. And then they'll often backdoor into a belief system that supports them, whatever it is. Because to me, your belief system is your navigation tool to get through this life and beyond. So I do think because it's scary, people are waking up in consciousness, and there is so much more positive thinking. Some of it's oversimplified, some of it's a little wacky to me, but at least
Right.
it's not, and there is certainly the conspiracy and there's certainly the gloom and doom, but there's that much more. Take your power back. This is about taking your power back. So again, but that divide is getting bigger and bigger and bigger as well. That we can do anything, take it back, and you're just sheep, do what we tell you. So,
Well, this is a good ramp into your origin story a little bit. Why don't you kind of give my audience a cursory background of how you discovered your gifts and came into this area of interest?
okay, it's always been a part of me. It's before I started kindergarten, I knew I was talking to spirits. I knew that what they called the imaginary friends were not imaginary. They were real spirits. They were real beings. They had real information. And not that scary. There was a little bit scary ones, but most were not. They were my playmates. Um I literally did my first séance, which is one of the things I'm known for. I was 7 or 8 years old in my little suburban Los Angeles home. I went in the because midday, went in the hall where there was no windows and lights, and put towels under the door, and then realized I didn't know any dead people and called it Marilyn Monroe or John K, whoever you knew as a 8-year-old, and filled with orbs and lights and shadows and noises, and I jumped up and down at the same time I was running and screaming out of the house. So I've always been a seeker. I've studied religion, philosophy, science, occult science my whole life since I was 13. And at the same time, my connection to nature, my like witchy side of things, I would find myself in my same little suburban backyard picking rosemary and picking mint and stuffing it in my mom's wallet, knowing she needed money and that would help give her money. She didn't quite understand it at the time. "What are you doing?" This is money." "No, this is not money. This is dirt." This is "No, no, this will give you money." It's like, and then I'm right. So many years later, these are the attributes within these herbs and plants. I've always communicated with animals and trees, and it just seemed normal. I really think that we have it in us. We all have it in us. I think kids really do talk to spirits, and there are some of their imaginary playmates of the imaginary kind are good for us, and they're not all imaginary. But it just, in our modern, Western, non-mystical, complete left brain logical focused society, it's gotten taught out of us. Everything has
Yeah.
to be about the logical left brain. And that has to be your imaginary. So yes, we need our reading, writing, and arithmetic, but we've lost the mystery, the magic, the spirituality. Literally speaking to it, not in my local elementary school. I live in the Hollywood Hills, under the Hollywood sign, under the H. And our little elementary school had, it's a 100-year-old beautiful old school in Los Angeles, but nobody from the Hills would send their children there because it was horrible. It was the worst 10 percentile of schools. They didn't learn their mathematics and reading. So the The richer kids in the hills didn't go and the poor immigrants. My neighborhood said, "No, this is not, we want to go, I don't even have kids, but we want our kids to go to our public school, be integrated, be urban school." We did not change the reading or writing or arithmetic teachers. We brought in art classes. We brought in dance and little acting lessons and gardening and photography. And these
Yeah.
kids got another side of their thought, and their math scores went up, and their reading and writing, and these immigrant kids, now everybody sends their kid there. We became, in like less than 2 years, a school of excellence from the worst 10 percentile of schools, because we brought in creativity and magic and art. That it
Yes.
changed the world right now, you know?
Yes. So I moved around a lot as a kid. I was always moving like every 2 to 4 years. My dad was a professional musician before I was born, and then he went on to work for Mercedes-Benz. It was the weirdest career transition in the world, right? But I often think about the different places that I lived. A lot of time living in Southwest Albuquerque, New Mexico, Rio Rancho, New Mexico, where native mysticism is really, really heightened. And I think about my upbringing and my childhood and how my belief systems have changed over the years. And you hit a really strong nail on the head to where we get into these junior high, high school eras of life where conventionalism is just rammed down our throats, that we let the innocence of what truly is possible slip away from us. Is that kind of a commonality that you've observed when talking to other people?
Yeah, I think it is, and we've put all this focus on, again, just the logical side, and lost the mysticism. And in our culture, our religious culture, we've not mysticism, where a lot of Eastern cultures, Native American cultures,
Right.
a lot of the different Eastern cultures kept the magic, and we just kind of wrote it out.
Right. Right. Absolutely. And it's crazy. I've had these conversations with friends before, people that have taken world religion classes, world theology classes, and then they're also taking Western civilization classes, where Western civilization basically teaches people that spirituality is just a form to control government and to create government, where world religions show you that everybody kind of has a similar story. Its framework is just different based on their geographical location.
Yeah, it's
So,
a different template, that's it, you know,
yes,
geographical, the names of the deities may be changed, but everybody has a Jesus story. They got Odin, hang on a tree, born of God of man. I mean, everybody's got this story.
right,
They
right,
just, different names, but it's about the story and the lesson in the story that people
absolutely,
forgot. Yeah.
absolutely. So, transitioning from childhood to adulthood, and when you really started to apply your skill sets towards the general public, what was that transition like? Like doing seances and kind of establishing yourself as the good witch?
Kicking and screaming, Michael. I kept it complete. I went through life. I again, I was an actor and a dancer, and I kept that separate. Then I ran a production company I for 20 years. I ran a, a successful song and dance, very corporate though. I would create shows for Microsoft and IBM and banking. Or I'm like, I'm like, "These people really can't know that on one hand, I'm talking to dead people, and on the other hand, I'm dancing around a fire in a big cloak." We'll just keep that private. We'll just keep that to ourselves.
Right.
But my private life I didn't lie about things. My private life's my private life. But in 2008, that big corporate crash came, and
Mhm.
the stock market and corporate entertainment became a dirty word because of the abuse of it. Hookers and jets is not what I was selling,
Right.
but it became a dirty word and really crash and burn. They're like, "We're hurting. We can't have these create these shows and film for our people. We're laying them off, so we're gonna give them a $25 gift certificate to the grocery store." So it crashed and burned, and at the same time, reality television was growing, 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 2008. And somebody they knew my improv and sketch background, and they knew that I was a legitimate medium and was specialty with seances. So they called me up. They go, Patty, we would love for you to do one of your seances on our TV show. And I'm like, thank you, but no, thank you. This is my private life. I can't do it. Thank you, but no, thank you. No, thank
Right.
you. I'm looking at my empty calendar. They're like, "Oh, please, we don't know anybody else who could do this. Please, it's really sweet." I'm like, "No, I can't." And I look back again on my empty calendar, and I'm like, "Please." And I'm like, "Ah, well, what's the name of the show?" And literally, she like paused for a second. She goes, "Well, it's called Mobile Home Disaster, and it's on country music television." I'm like, "Who would watch that? A show called Mobile Home Disaster?" I
Right.
mean, little did I know everybody, but I'm like, "Well, maybe I mean, nobody I know is gonna watch this, who's gonna know? Okay, I'll take this gig, I'll do it." Oh my god, it was the most fulfilling, magical, legitimate, authentic thing. I got to help this human little girl that everybody thought was crazy because she was drawing portals on the ceiling of her motorhome. I'm like, "No, no, there are portals on the ceiling of her motorhome." I got to help a spirit crossover that was kind of stuck, and almost best of all, I got to slightly open the minds of the Southern Bible Belt cast and crew who thought this was evil, and that this isn't evil, this is of the light, this is goodness, this
Right.
is all and I'm like, "This is the funnest thing I've ever," but no more, I'm never gonna do it again. No, one time. Of course, it aired a couple months later, and my first call that next morning was from my biggest corporate client. "Hi, Patty. Hi. Hi. I saw you on television last night." "Oh, yes. I didn't know you were into the paranormal." "Yeah," as my voice cracks.
Right.
She goes, "I love the paranormal," and proceeded to tell me her first ghost story, and I'm like, "What am I doing? What am I doing? This is who I am. I am out of the broom closet. I'm out of the psychic medium closet, and I haven't looked back." I mean, I still have my production company, don't have time to do anything. I became the person back then to call because, number 1, they knew I was legitimate. Number 2, I sit in the middle of Hollywood. Number 3, I am trained on both sides of the camera. I know how to talk in sign effects. I know improv and sketch. I know how to do reality. So I just became that person. And then Ghost Adventures came along in 2015. It was supposed to be a one-off, but I've done 2 episodes a year for the last 9 years, which is huge for kind of being a boy show.
Yeah.
And, every other show down the line. So it's the best. I get to travel the world. I get to again, I don't care if you believe what I believe. Or just opening up people's minds to possibilities. It's about empowerment. So whether
Yes.
I'm working with AwesomenessTV kids, or I'm at a paranormal convention, or I'm doing a mediumship gallery for 1,200 people or 6 people around my dining room table, it's about, empowerment, how we as humans are a part of this magical thing that we could do anything we believe we can do. And I believe
Yes. Yes, yes. So, a little background about myself. I spent, 15 years trying to make it in the music business. I never thought I would be a podcaster, right? So, the podcast becomes a pandemic project like September 2020. And I'm starting to go down lists of people that I made connections with throughout the years. And I have quite a few connections in the paranormal community without even knowing it. And I'll get this is kind of feeding your point here. One of my good friends is Johnny Hauser, caretaker of the Villisca Axe Murder House. So he did the second episode of my podcast, and we recorded it in the Villisca Axe
it's
Murder
over.
House. And you know, one of the things you touched on through your experience is when people found out about your abilities through this first reality show outing, it's almost like it made it okay for them to share their experiences. And I've had a very similar thing with my show because my show is just variety. I have people from all walks of life on. But when I do a paranormal episode or a spiritual episode, it really does connect with people. So, who has been the most unusual or unsuspecting person that has reached out to you since they discovered that you have these gifts?
Some of the most interesting ones I actually cannot talk about because my life is thing called an NDA, which means a non-disclosure agreement. It's like, well, I wish I could tell you about the time but I can't. But, again, and if we look into the celebrity world, I work with all of them. I've literally you may not know who Aaron Spelling was,
Yeah.
but he was the big producer of Love Boat, Fantasy Island. He was the
Hmm.
big producer. I literally had to get his ghost out of the Spelling Manor, which was at that time the biggest, most expensive house in the world, or in Beverly Hills. It was like 50 bedrooms plus. And I'm sitting here with swords and knives, and I'm like, this is the weirdest thing. I'm getting dead Aaron Spelling out of his house. Again, because so much paranormal activity. I think having to get another clearing thing again, because everything's in chaos. Uh, the Phil Spector Castle, the music producer, your music
Yeah.
who the wall of sound, all that's or whatever that all that was. I had to clear his castle where he lived in outside, and it had the darkest, ooziest stuff. He actually killed my friend Lana Clark. I knew her. So, but I mean, they have the same, everybody has the same issues. It doesn't matter if it's the secretary next door in her little apartment or it's the biggest movie star out there. But I think the biggest, again, you're right. It is that people have permission to talk about it and not crazy. And the other area, I don't even know if you want to go there, is where I am known as like an international expert besides the seances is spectrophilia,
Right.
human ghost interactions, and that is and in intimacy within spirit. It's been around forever. Every religion, every belief system, but everybody gets the bad rap of it. Everybody thinks. I mean, there is bad incubus and succubus and demons coming down, but it isn't all that. And people experience that and talk about not wanting to talk about you saw a ghost in the parlor. You don't want to talk about you had a ghost in the bed. So when this started coming out, people are like, "Oh my god, I thought I was crazy or I thought I was evil or I thought it was a demonic." It wasn't. It was my ex-husband who died at 30 and we wanted some closure. And I think that is where people really get to open up because again, our Western society we talking about paranormal is bad enough, again, opening it up with this stuff but talking about sex, we don't even do. We really are very, very prudish in our
Right.
Western versus what you see on Europe television, what you see here is completely different,
Yep.
We are so and when I go into that, I'm considered an international expert in that. Well, that's because when the playing field is like 3 people big, you rise to the top. But people come to me and going, "Oh my god, I really thought there was nobody I could talk to. I thought it was evil or bad, but it was good and it was pleasurable and it was my lover from whatever or past life." And I think that's the one that's still because it's still the most taboo.
Talking about clearing spirits, kind of going back to that a little bit and having these gifts for as long as you have, or knowing about your gifts for as long as you have. What is your relationship with fear like?
Ah, my favorite subject. Fear. Fear, I lived in fear a long time. I had health issues and all this stuff. I was a victim between 15 and 30. Even though I was magical, I still was supposed to die by 50, blah, blah, blah. So fear, and I was actually shy as a kid. Fear, as we know, can freeze you in your tracks. Fear can make you not live the life you want, not even try to become the musician or the actor or the doctor or the lawyer. Fear can make you not make that phone call, not tell your truth to your partner or your lover. Or fear is $1 million industry that I'm in, and you have ties to. We pay money to get scared. We pay money to ride roller coasters, to watch scary movies and TV shows and go on ghost hunts. We want that adrenaline rush. Why not take that inspiration, the adrenaline rush that you get riding a roller coaster or watching a scary movie to the I'm going to talk to my mom about this conversation, or I'm going to ask for a raise because I deserve it to my mom. And as soon as you shift your idea about fear, it's like, I'm scared and I love to be scared. Oh my God, oh my God, oh my God. Everything changes. Everything changes. So, and now that become in a weird way my hobby. I love to get scared and I loved challenges beyond all challenge. So I think the biggest one, again, first because I was a victim for so long. But when I was 30, I was told, and I lived scared. I couldn't have kids. I had all these cars and just 30, they go, if you make 50, which you probably won't, but if you make 50, you're going to be in a wheelchair because you have 5 fractures in your spine, you have a tumor in your head, blah, blah. And I kind of went, I'm done with this. I'm just not going to get sick anymore. I stopped getting sick decades ago. I didn't get sick, not even cold. And so at 50, instead of being dead or in a wheelchair as promised, I'm like, well, what can I prove to myself and then everybody else that we can do whatever we believe we can do? I am the queen of manifestation and I go, well, I was supposed to be dead or in a wheelchair. I'm going to try out for the world's largest obstacle course, that TV show
Wipeout.
Wipeout, the big.
Yes.
So I beat literally 100,000 people. No, I beat 100,000 mostly younger, stronger, healthier people to get there. And again, using positive thinking, my magic, manifestation. And then you get there and it's like, oh my God, I totally forgot. I'm afraid of heights and it's really cold water. And it took every bit of gumption I have to not get in my car and run away screaming. But I did it, and again, it was the most painful, hardest, coldest, scariest, most empowering thing, and I conquered those fears. I did those fears. You thought you could walk on water for 6 months. Making that phone call, your opinion on something in a nice and loving was easy after I did that. So I wanted to prove, okay, that could be a fluke. I did that. And again, I'm in the middle of Hollywood, so this is my world. I go, I want to do something else I have no business doing. Like that was a no business doing. What do I have absolutely be the lowest denominator? Well, I got kicked out of home economics in high school. My husband won't let me in the kitchen. I can't cook. I don't know what saute means. I'm going to cook for Gordon Ramsay. Damn it. I'm going to try out for MasterChef. Yep. More than 5,000 people, 100,000 people. I mean, 5,000 people at each location across the world. And I did magical cooking. I still don't know what's up. Explained that what you put into your food, not just your ingredients, but the ingredients count. Cinnamon's going to bring passion. Basil will cause calming and stop arguments. Stir clockwise. Put in love. Don't put anger into your kids' oatmeal. It will affect it. So it was about magical cooking, even though I still didn't know what I was doing. But I got there. And again, when I'm sitting there in the MasterChef kitchen going, what the heck am I doing? I was more scared. I am cooking for Gordon Ramsay, Joe Bastianich, and Graham going, this is scarier than Wipeout. But I did it. It didn't last long because I couldn't know how to use a salt shaker. But again, I got there. And then I'm like, okay, I've got to do it one more time. I'm figuring out what the third one is. I mean, the fourth one. One more time. And I go, I did that. Maybe it's a fluke. I did the physical thing. I did the cooking thing. Because again, everybody knows I don't know how to boil water. And I go, okay. And I've turned on the TV, America's Got Talent. I'm married to a musician. And I used to be a dancer, but I was really mediocre. I got to dance with Gregory Hines, but I'm not anybody who's going to get on America's Got Talent in any of my talents. And I'm like, nope, I'm going to get on America's Got Talent. Again, I'm sitting in the LA Convention Center I was number 5,000 of 500,000 in every convention. And next thing I know, I am psychically reading Howie Mandel's Dog, rolling on the floor of the Dolby Theater, making a fabulous fool of myself. Again, scary but so empowering. It's the scary stuff that's the good stuff. The stuff that scares you is the stuff that you get everything out of. I mean, not somebody pointing a gun at you. I'm talking the challenge.
Yes.
Instead of using the word afraid to do it, it's a challenge. Turn everything into a game show.
I love that. I love that mentality and I love that way of thinking. And I wish more people would take calculated risks like that, or just take risks overall to fuel their ambitions of who they are. You have a new book coming out.
I do. I'm so excited.
Speaking of scary things, let's talk about it. It's called Dollcraft.
It's called Dollcraft. Here, let me get my little Bale's face right there. It is about haunted dolls and magical puppets. From a witchy perspective, from a spiritual, magical perspective, because haunted dolls are in now. I mean, it's Thank You Hollywood, Annabelle and Robert the
Mhm.
Doll, and Chucky. I mean, dolls are popular. Everybody wants a haunted doll. I've never in my life growing up knew more 40 and 50 something men who have complete doll collections from Zach Bagans on down. My
Yep.
friend David is the doll tender for, Robert the Doll, and I've like but there is a care and feeding of haunted dolls. You want if you want a haunted doll, you want a little ghosty to live in your house, there's a nice vessel for it. But you really don't want a dark and spooky one because they will literally make you sick, take
Mhm.
drain your energy. So it's kind of about the care and feeding and how to pick a good one, how to get rid of a negative spirit if it is, how to create your own if you don't trust the one seller on eBay that has 900 haunted dolls at an overpriced price. Maybe you can get a better one at the thrift store or the antique store. Oh, wait, you can. Stuff like that. And then the other half of the book is about magical puppets because I'm a spellcrafter. I'm a really good, and puppets are something that people look at and they, was that a voodoo doll? No, it's a magical puppet. Sometimes they look like little gingerbread men and
Right.
you might stick pins on them, but they're herbs, but they're positive, they're healing, they're magical. Like, say, if I have my little Patty puppet, say if I don't get headaches, but say if I got a headache, I'd stick a pin in my puppet and take away my headache. You put herbs and oils and they can represent for safety for you, your dogs, your cats. Of course, you can make money puppets and love puppets and health puppets. So these are two that are not usually brought together, but it's the doll theme in the middle and then bringing magic and spirituality into both.
I love that. I love that. I was asking you before we started recording about the Museum of Shadows in Omaha, Nebraska. I'm in Lincoln, Nebraska, which is a 45-minute drive from Omaha. And my wife and my sister-in-law and brother-in-law and we went to the Museum of Shadows one night, and that's exactly what it is. It is mostly dolls or inanimate objects that have some form of spiritual attachment to them. And just walking through the museum, like, there was some strange things that happened. There was a marionette clown that would just start moving on its own. And I'm with people that are believers but skeptical believers that are seeing this and going, oh my goodness, this is legit. So what is it about spirits attaching themselves to objects that is so relevant?
It's well, okay, if you're a disembodied spirit, good or bad or whatever, just you want a vessel. You don't have to have a vessel, ghosts float around, but say you're looking for a vessel to reside in. What do you wanna be? Do you wanna be in a water bottle, a vase, or something with eyes and a face and a ears? Gonna go for that. Again, it gives you life. There's something animistic, and you're gonna go for that. And again, that just adds a whole thing to it. And if it's a positive one, you look in their eye. My girl over there, Belle, I have to keep her kind of far away because she steals the stage. She winks at people. She opens her
Oh
eyes.
wow.
She's porcelain. She's 110. She can't really move her face, but everybody could tell her mood. 3 people in a row, she's happy today. 3 people in a row, she's cranky today. So people just again, it's a nice containment vessel if you wanna bring this magical spirit. But again, I highly recommend they can be mischievous, and they are, because 'cause you're bringing a disembodied spirit into your house, but don't have it a I don't use good and bad, high vibrate you want a high vibration versus a low vibration, because 'cause they're gonna attack your dogs and kids first, they're gonna go to the most innocent, and you don't want your dogs and cats and children, and then you, and that cause arguments and all that, but positive ones are just kind of fun.
Ah, I love that.
Peggy was sent to me, um she had a g I had not Peggy, this is Belle. I had done Zach Bagans has a very haunted, Peggy the doll. She's a little blonde, she looks like Doris Day, but she had literally given 2 people verified heart attacks and made 80 plus people sick. Just looking at pictures of her or videos of her made them
Oh
sick.
wow.
So he had called me in and I did a seance, it was a spinoff of Ghost Adventures, Deadly Possessions. Um, I did a seance with holding the little plastic hand of this little doll who gave people heart attacks. He had flown in the girl who then owned her and a girl who had been given a heart attack, a young girl, not an older woman. And so we cut all the cords of that. Anyway, this girl in Belgium had seen me doing a Peggy the seance, and she figured if I could handle Peggy, I could handle Belle. So she asked my permission and she sent me Belle. I had never even done a Facebook Live at that time. And I'm like, she just open it up on, do an unboxing. 50,000 people watch me unbox that. I don't have those kind of followers. I don't then still, it was not me, it was the doll. And then I opened up this doll, 50,000 people watching, and then she was dark. Oh my gosh.
Mm,
And I didn't want my hair to fall out. This girl had made this woman's hair fall out and her kids sick for 3 years. So I banished the dark spirit, knowing there was a beautiful spirit hidden underneath. I would not let the sun, I got rid of the bad spirit, not hard to do. There's lots of ways to do it. And she still drained energy for a long time. I would keep the herb rue in her hand in little baskets, protection, like people will do salt or whatever. And then this beautiful spirit came out. But she's been a happy part of our family ever since. But I had to get rid of the bad spirit.
right.
So that's, well, she's got her friend Salem and her friend Baby, and the families grow, you know.
Well, both of us being eternal optimists, and it's still early in the year 2025. How can people manifest optimism and push this negative juju out of their lives so they can have a good year and a good remainder of their lifetime?
Yeah, we have to. I think we have to find balance with, like, you don't want to be an ostrich and hang your head and I'm not going to watch the news because it's horrible. You can't do that because then you're living in a bubble. You have to get enough, because if there's something you can do that you believe in, going, okay, whether it's from voting to whatever that is, I'm going to do what I can do. I'm going to turn on my air, global warming, whatever your thing is, so you can do what you can do, but you cannot let it take over your life. It's that old saying, which I think got adopted by AA, that no, change the things you can, know the difference,
Yeah.
and so I think we have the opportunity. We have to speak out. We have to not be face the fear going, this isn't right. We can't do that. We have to do this. We have to take care of people because we're losing a lot of ethics and moral code and integrity. And there's some scary stuff that they're taking away from people. So get involved where you can, but do not let it take over your life. And then whatever your belief system is, if go to church and pray and we'll make a difference if you're a spellcaster like me, do magic, do positive magic. You don't need to do negative magic. You can get everything you want from pets. Don't hang somebody by their toes and do whatever. Allow them to see the light. Have people's blinders taken off. There's lots of things that you could do that's positive to cause a shift. And
Ah,
again, one whatever, I forget whose saying it was. What was it? What can one person do or something like that? And the saying was, it's one person is the only person who has ever done anything. It's you are the person to do it. So do what you can, and then what you can't do, don't let it take over.
ah,
We can't, because then we live miserable and we live unhappy. And if we live in the world you create, if you wake up and you go, it's going to be a sucky day, guess what? It's going to be a sucky day. If you go, it's going to be a great day and there's going to be forward movement, that's the day you create your day. And then you create the day for anybody you live with. And then you create the day for your workplace around them. It spreads, it spreads, it spreads.
yes.
And that's what I do think, that positive thing, people are waking up and going, even looking at like the Instagram and TikToks, all the manifest is positive, that spirituality that's arising. Again, some of it very TikTok spirituality, some of it a little so, but yes, it's positive. Pull it back. Take your power back. Take your We don't want to be by rote, automatic pilot, phoned in, asleep at the wheel. That's whatever they is. No, wake up. Have you given away your power to fear, which most have? Give away your power to other people. Give away your power just to limiting belief systems. Take it back.
I love that. I love that. So it's funny you say all of that. My closing question, every single podcast episode I've done, 160 some plus episodes now. Everybody I ask this question. I say, "What's your advice?" And it can be in micro or macro. What's your advice for making the world a better place tomorrow than what it was today? And so, you just kind of gave me a lot of that, but in a very short answer. What's your advice for making the world a better place tomorrow than it was today?
I think it's gonna go back to the classic, be the person that you want other be your best person. You know, come from love, come from optimism. It's okay to be sad and admit to being sad when you're sad and be scared when you're scared, but take the high road. The high road always gets you there without drowning. It does.
Yes.
Magic is everywhere.
Yes.
You just have to look sometimes.
Yes. Patti, why don't you tell my audience where they can find you online, your podcast, your show? Promote your stuff.
Okay, everywhere. Bathroom walls across no. PattiNegri.com, PattiNegri.com. You can get to all my correct social medias. Patti Negri Psychic Medium on Facebook, Patti.Negri on Instagram, Patti Negri everywhere else. But sadly, I do have a lot of imposters and fakes. So I'm blue checked everywhere except TikTok for some reason, and there's a lot of fake me's on TikTok. So you can get to the real me from PattiNegri.com. You can get my book there, my Old World Magic for the Modern World, which is simple, easy life hacks. Easiest book. I spent more time unwriting it. Why you put a little salt in your toilet? Why you stir your coffee this way? How to talk to dead people. Love magic. Easy stuff. Um, $6 to $12. I have a huge YouTube page where I teach all sorts of free stuff over and over and over again. You can get to my podcast, which is called The Witching Hour with Patti Negri. Um, Audio everywhere like you, the Spotify, Apple, this, that, in video on my website and my YouTube page, The Witching Hour with Patti Negri. You can learn to do this stuff at my school. I have a school called University Magicus, the world's most affordable spirituality school. When I looked at what other celebrities and people were charging thousands of dollars, I'm like, no, $10 to $20 a class. That's what I charge. Uh,
Fantastic.
and it and that so and again, and if you like paranormal, go to paraflix.com. At the same time, I started the school universitymagicus.com. I started Paraflix. It's because it for those of us who like paranormal, you've already seen every Ghost Adventures, every Portals to Hell 3 times. So I started a streaming network with my friend Natalie, and it's all new, amazing content. And we're going into horror and trying to add more spirituality called
Love it.
paraflix.com.
Love it. Patti, I have really enjoyed this conversation with you, and I am glad to now call you a friend.
You are. Me too. You're a beautiful host. So thank you for all that you do.
Patti, the world is a much better place with you in it. Thanks for doing the show.
Thank you.